With the Beatles churning out their family-friendly Mersey beat to chart-topping effect in the 60s, the Rolling Stones opted to pioneer a more gritty blues-based rock and roll that went on to form the basis of hard rock. By the end of the decade, they'd crowned themselves the world's greatest rock and roll band, and Mick Jagger's macho showmanship, with plenty of camp irony thrown in, more than lived up to the arrogance of that claim. Always flirting with the seedy side of rock and roll, late 60s British newsreels were awash with stories of arrests and drugs charges. While Mick and Keith Richards both had their run-ins with the law, it was the Stones' founder-guitarist Brian Jones who spiralled out of control. Just weeks after being fired from the band in 1969, he was found dead in his own swimming pool. The early 70s saw continued troubles with drugs and the law for Keith Richards, Mick's marriage to Bianca, the release of Sticky Fingers, and a period of tax exile in France. In 1974, Ron Wood joined the lineup of Mick, Keith, Charlie Watts and Bill Wyman. And while other 60s bands were falling by the wayside, the Stones kept rolling out the albums. With the records ebbing and flowing in terms of critical and commercial success, their live gigs were becoming an increasingly hot ticket. In the 80s, a fallout between Mick and Keith about the band's direction led to a drop-off in inspiration, with both of them branching out into solo careers. Mick's high-profile marriage to model Jerry Hall and rumoured affairs had all but eclipsed the music, and by 1991, Bill Wyman had had enough and left to pursue other interests. He was replaced by bassist Darryl Jones, who helped the Stones make one of their best-received albums in years. 1994's Voodoo Lounge went on to spawn an even bigger tour, and with the main players in the band all pushing 50, their record company EMI were only too happy to sign them up for a mega deal that kept them under contract for another 14 years. Since then, Mick may have put a dent in the rock and roll rebel act by accepting a knighthood, but in the wake of their mega Bigger Bang tour of 2007 and Martin Scorsese's recent documentary, the Rolling Stones have proved that they are still the greatest live act of all time.
I'm not right there yet, so I'm enjoying what I'm doing, so that'd be great. I'm really not worrying about when I'm stopping.
I'll do it in my wheelchair, and so will he.